Cockpit checks have also been completed, and the deck director signals the pilot to run his engines up to takeoff power. Finally, the director signals the launch, and the Phantom is hurled down the catapult run and over the bow of the carrier at a speed of 185 miles per hour. As the first two depart on their combat air patrol, another pair of Phantoms taxis up for launch. As each reaches the launch spot, deflectors are raised to divert the exhaust gases away from the flight deck. Meanwhile, the shuttle is returned, and the next Phantom designated for that catapult taxis its nosewheel unit over the shuttle and lines itself up with the catapult as the deck crew bring up the bridle. The launch sequence continues with up to 4 aircraft dispatched almost simultaneously. Further aircraft are being brought up in the deck edge elevators. And launches continue, in this instance with a triple dispatch. With 2 crew, powerful radar, and a combination of Sparrow medium-range and Sidewinder short-range missiles, the Phantom was the world's first fighter with search and destroy capability independent of ground control, and thus a great asset for the U.S. Navy in the 1960s. Indications of its service capabilities were soon being given by a number of world records. In December 1959, the Phantom set a zoom climb to altitude record of 98,556 feet. In September 1960, it took 2 closed circuit records at 1,217 and 1,390 miles per hour. Less than a year later, in August 1961, a low altitude speed record of 903 miles per hour was set. And this was swiftly followed in November by an absolute world speed record of 1,606 miles per hour. But perhaps the most spectacular of these early achievements came in May 1961 to mark the 50th anniversary of naval aviation. 5 prototype Phantoms flew west to east across the U.S. in 2 hours 47 minutes, shattering the previous best. At the end of the patrol, the Phantoms return to the carrier and come into land. As it approaches at 150 miles per hour, each aircraft is checked visually to ensure that the landing gear and flaps are lowered, and then talked down by the landing signal officer once his assistant has reported a clear deck. As the pilot lines up for his approach, he is guided by an amber light called the meatball, seen here on the right of the flight deck. The pilot keeps this lined up with the row of green lights to ensure that he is in the groove, the correct glide slope to fly his aircraft onto the deck and catch the wire. There are different light angle approach settings for each type of aircraft on board. After each landing, the wire is disengaged from the arrestor hook and returned to its position as the landed aircraft taxis out of the way so that the next can come in without delay. After landing, the aircraft are struck down to the hangar deck on the 4 deck edge elevators and begin the maintenance cycle before another mission. The 4 Forrestal class ships each have some 3.5 acres of maintenance area below the flight deck. But even this allows only half of the carrier's 90 aircraft to be sheltered at any one time. Throughout the 1960s and early 70s, the Phantom in F-4B and the upgraded, more powerful F-4J versions provided the U.S. Navy's first line of air defense. Out to a radius of 400 miles from the carrier, the Phantom remained unexcelled for combat air patrol until the advent of the Grumman F-14 Tomcat. On occasion, during the Vietnam War, U.S. Navy Phantoms operated as attack aircraft from land bases on detachment from their parent carriers. These are F-4J aircraft evolved from the initial F-4B with more powerful engines and drooping ailerons to supplement the flaps, slotted and therefore more effective tailplanes. And a combination of AWG-10 fire control radar and AJB-7 bombing system for improved air-to-air and air-to-ground capabilities. The pilot has the primary responsibility of flying the aircraft. He is therefore fully occupied, checking constantly that all systems are nominal and fuel adequate, while devoting great concentration to a visual search of the sky for fighters that may have evaded the radar. In the rear seat, the radar intercept officer monitors the tactical situation on his increasingly sophisticated equipment and keeps the pilot advised of the current scenario. The Phantom was blooded in Vietnam and was one of the few U.S. combat aircraft in that theater never to be withdrawn. Throughout the war, it proved itself able to meet all the demands made of it and was well loved by its crews. Yet the Phantom had failings, especially in the early models, and one of the worst was a smoky power plant which could give the defenses a good visual cue as to the location of the attacking aircraft. Another major Phantom operator in Vietnam was the U.S. Marine Corps, and a key shore-based marine aviation component was Marine Aircraft Group 13, based at Chu Lai in 1968. Aircraft were kept in blast-proof revetments between missions as a way of reducing the effect of communist rocket and mortar attacks on airfields, and also to make more difficult any close attack by Viet Cong sappers. Before boarding the Phantom, the crew complete the standard walk-round check that the aircraft has no evident defects. The underwing pods are checked for full attachment, complete loading, and proper electrical connection. And the safing of the 2.75-inch rockets.